According to a report by the National Film and Video Censors Board, the Nigerian movie industry, Nollywood, produced a total of 375 movies in the third quarter of 2021, while 635 movies were produced in the second quarter and 416 in the first quarter. The industry in 2021, like the years preceding it, was a beehive of activities from awards ceremonies to film locations to blockbuster productions. There were also other interesting developments on the art scene, generally including live theater and visual arts in 2021. One of those was the production of Wole Soyinka's Death and the King's Horseman, adapted for theater lovers. Another one on the visual art scene was the Art X Lagos exhibition, which created a platform to showcase and support contemporary art from Africa and the diaspora. These are some among the many developments that shaped the movie theater and art industry in 2021. Nigerian movie and theater director and lawyer Bolanle Austin-Peters is our guest this morning. She'll be reviewing the year ending as it affects the movie, theater, and art industry. She is the founder and managing director of Terra Kulture, the foremost Nigerian art and culture center located in Lagos. Well, good morning, Bolanle. It's nice to finally meet you.
Oh, wow. Lovely to meet you too.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd love to congratulate you on producing 3 movies back to back. And now you are producing this amazing adaptation of Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti, Fela's mom, I would say as well. I mean, talk to us about that. I understand that Joke Silva is playing the lead role.
Yes.
And her children are also in the film.
Correct, her
Amazing.
grandchildren.
Her grandchildren?
Yes.
Amazing.
Whose grandchildren?
Funmilayo.
Oh, okay.
So we got the head of the Kuti family today, Dr. Ransome-Kuti.
Oh, yes.
He's doing a cameo appearance. Yeni Kuti, who is Fela's first daughter, is also appearing in it, and also Kunle Kuti, Fela's son. So yes, we got the support of the family in its entirety and the estate to produce the movie. I think I'm excited about it simply because a lot of people don't know how phenomenal that woman was. I don't even know how she did the things that she did. In researching her story, we found out that she's a lioness. I mean, she took on both the colonial authorities as well as the Nigerian local, the king in Abeokuta. And I just wondered what kind of woman, what caliber, what pushed her. And that was what I was after in putting this movie together. What was her driving force? And you can understand why she went ahead to mother all the phenomenal children that she did produce.
Beko, Fela, Olikoye, former Minister of Health.
All of them
phenomenal.
Highly successful.
But why will you choose to tell our story via the motion picture rather than what people might consider as your forte, the theater?
Yes, so you know, our journey, we've been in theater now for almost a decade. And we veered into movie making just purely accidentally with 93 Days as executive producers, and the rest is history. We've produced and directed Bling Legosians and Collision, and then Man of God, and then This Woman's Story. We feel that the screen has a wider reach. COVID in particular taught us a lot. We found out that overnight, all our works were wiped out completely because stage is what they're there now. For posterity, there's nothing to refer to. So doing 93 Days, apart from the fact that people can still access the works today as we speak, Bling Legosians just got renewed by Netflix recently. So it's there in perpetuity. So we recognize that whatever we do, even stage, has to be recorded for posterity. Now, if you talk about Funmilayo's story, we actually wanted to do the stage version, but the family said that we could only have one at the moment. So we decided to go for the screen because it's huge. And what we've done in terms of production value, we've almost tripled what we do on a normal day for Nigerian production. So you had double of everything. The story is humongous. And it almost ate me out because I didn't know that it was that big. Honestly, and then we started shooting and I realized that I had to do it the right kind of justice that it deserved. So we did what we needed to do.
So at what stage is the film now?
We're done. We're in post-production. So what happens typically with post, he knows, is going to our editors. We normally do a lot of our work outside of Nigeria, the finishing part of it.
That's fantastic. Now, you have been known to be the foremost, what would I call it, artist or woman who's been involved with this plays and stage performances. Why was that important to you to go after when a lot of people were, gearing towards Nollywood film production?
I think it was passion. I mean, primarily, I stumbled, like I keep saying, I'm a lawyer, I'm a development lawyer. So I stumbled upon this space. It was just purely accidental, and I fell in love with it. And over the space of 18 years of running this space, I learned a lot. Terra Culture has been a school for me. And so in terms of all the various art forms, I kind of have an understanding of most. So our space was used by different producers and directors for over 12 years. So I was in school. And the more I watched, the more I learned. And in the course of doing that, we started directing. And imagine if you've watched over, God knows, maybe 1,000 productions. You just learn, So I just learned. And I started doing what I was doing. And I'm so happy and fulfilled doing it that I know that this probably is my calling. I'm just probably a late starter. So that is what it is.
Okay, Bolanle, I mean, I will still bring you to speak about the art scene generally, but quickly before then, I know that the Death and the King's Horseman is starting today, right?
Precisely. And
running till the first week in
3rd
January.
of January.
3rd of January, which you directed. I mean, that's an important production because of the role that the play, played in Professor Wole Soyinka getting the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1986. But I'm also aware that Death is also going onto the big screen.
Yes.
Via Moabudu.
Correct.
What is going on? Why are you two Amazons like pulling Death and the King's
Pulling it from all angles? No. Actually, no, like you said, we do stage. Yeah. And Prof asked me to direct it. He called, he's a good friend and mentor. So we hang out. And then one day he said, VAP, I want to see you. I need to talk to you about something. So he said, can you please direct this for us? I said, sure, because he knows I do more contemporary stuff. Yes. So this isn't really my forte. So I was a little bit nervous and obviously very humbled having him request that I do it. So I took it on. It's humongous again. It's another big story. And I think that I've seen it in the past, and I'm sure most of us have read it. I didn't understand half of what was going on in there, to be quite honest. Till I directed it.
Wow. Until you directed it.
It is, and now you can understand why he got the Nobel Peace and the Nobel Prize for Literature. It is fine art. It is excellent. It is beautiful. The language is exceptional. And his ability to express himself through a lot of proverbs, at the same time telling a story that cuts across a conflict of cultures, an abandonment of your responsibility as a leader, which is what Eleshionba did, allowing himself to be thrown by carnal desires. Yeah. And it showcases so many levels of failure on the part of us as Nigerians, and also what happened to us when other cultures came into contact with our culture. But what I've done in doing this is that I wanted to understand why our culture would allow a man to die because somebody else dies. But more importantly, I wanted to understand the passage. What goes on through a man's mind when he knows that he's going to die when this other person dies? And that's, I think, where I came from, and that's probably why it's been well received, because I had to put myself in Eleshionba's state of mind. And I made it a spiritual journey, because there's a rite of passage that needs to be done for you to get to that point where you'll commit suicide to accompany a dead spirit. And that's what I did. So it's very spiritual. I don't know, sometimes I get into all this, I don't know where I get it from, but it's beautiful.
I have more questions on the death of a king's horseman, but before I do, we'll have to go on a short break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll continue on the conversation.
All right.
Stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the morning show. Well, still with us in the studio is Nigerian movie and theater director and lawyer Bolanle Austin-Peters, who's our guest, and she's been talking to us about everything arts and culture, and she's been reviewing the entertainment scene in 2021. Well, before we go into the arts, we were discussing
Death and the
King's Horseman, and I wanted to know what's happening with the schedule there and when we can come see it. Yes, you are.
It is showing from today, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. every day till the 3rd of January. Yes.
And so it's 2 showings in a day, you said?
Correct.
Right, okay. Well, I'll come. Steve, go ahead.
The 7 p.m. shows are usually the bomb.
Like I said, I've never been to
A theater?
a theater. I mean, I'm
Ever?
not a theater person. I don't do concerts. I don't.
Oh.
The only thing I could do is movies. But I'll come. I'll see it.
And then the runway, of course.
I don't know about that.
Trust me, you'll be converted.
All right,
Okay.
Bolanle, I mean, you've been busy.
Yes.
But then the fact that you've been busy shows that the industry, intriguingly, has also been busy.
Correct.
At a time that people would think, oh, COVID has killed everything, blah, blah, blah. How much of impact? And I know that you were also part of the committee that the Honorable Minister of Culture and Tourism formed last year. I won't ask you because we haven't heard anything about what you produced. Alibaba was the chair. But then it looks like the arts were able to dance around COVID and it didn't beat us down. What's your assessment of the impact of COVID-19 on the Nigerian entertainment scene, the art, and performances? I know that it affected the hospitality industry badly.
I think that if we look back at 2020, there was a great impact. There was loss of revenue, loss of jobs. Everybody in the industry suffered. But I think the very nature of artists and entertainment in Nigeria is that it's always operated on self-help. Nobody has really ever aided them. So these are people who rise to the occasion based purely on talent and drive. And I think that once you have those 2 ingredients, you will survive anything. And I think that's what they've drawn upon to ensure that their craft is sustained. 2021, they bounced back simply because it's who they are. These are warriors.
They won't stay down.
They won't stay down. And you know, when you have nothing to lose, the space has nothing that typically Nigeria offers them. Most things are done purely based on their own grit and determination. So I think that they brought that doubly into the space in 2021 because 2020 was truly bad for them. So a lot of people, the movie space bounced back, more productions. Most people used 2021 to prepare scripts and they were just waiting for the go-ahead. Theater suffered. Nobody was showing plays. I think we were about the only ones that showed plays last year because of the capacity issue.
Last year or this year?
Last year we showed at Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's coming back gradually again. We have some stalwarts sponsors like MTN who would ensure that come rain or shine, theater continues. And then the music industry, like, you know, again, it's individual, it's based on sheer determination of the young artists that are performing in that space. The art space as well, it's a solo art performance. People do what they need to do. The platforms that are being created for them internationally and locally is allowing them to thrive. So everybody is doing what they need to do because there's just nothing to lose. So it's getting better though.
Yeah, well, how tasking was that for you? I mean, you've produced 3 movies, right? And you did it back to back. Well, how were you able to even stay afloat, to even start with? And I understand that your movie, was it Collision Course?
Yes.
Collision
That was the closing film at the AFRIF ceremony.
Correct.
A very important film to close that ceremony.
Yes.
Talk to us about all of that process.
First thing is that I have a team that works extremely hard. So it's not always about me alone. I'm the driving force, but I've put in place over the past 13 years critical people who are very gifted and committed. So we wanted to get into the movie space, like I told you, and we had scripts available. And they know the way we operate at Terra. We want to go into something, we just do what we need to do. And we've also established a very strong brand that allows sponsors to come on board easier than if it was just a solo act. So Collision was a story that was that looked at the NSARS crisis in Nigeria. And what I tried to do was just to explain the side of both parties from a completely independent perspective. I felt that everybody in Nigeria is traumatized. All of us, the police, the average young Nigerian, myself, yourself, we're all somehow brutalized by the system, you know, because it's not what we all would ideally want it to be. And so I tried to tell the story from the young man's perspective and the policeman's perspective so that we could throw light on what is going on in his mind and what is going on in his life, and the same for the young man, and what happens when these two lives collide. And that's what Collision is about. So far, I think we've gotten, in fact, we've just got accepted into the Pan-African Film Festival as well.
Okay.
We got that notification 2 days ago in America.
In Los Angeles.
Yes, in LA. So it's doing very well. I mean, strangely enough, nobody has seen the film.
Steve, really?
It is fascinating that no one has seen the movie, but those in the industry that saw it at the film festivals felt it was a beautiful piece of art. Man of God is another movie, which is just a social commentary. I love social commentaries. Yeah. It's a social commentary on the spiritual, the faith system in Nigeria, you know, the churches and the so-called men of God. So it's
the so-called.
So there are genuine ones, of course, and there are the charlatans. Yeah. So it's about really how people who really are entertainers just call themselves men of God. Some of them, they just want to perform, and truly, some of them just use this.
It's so unfair.
It is. But
I was tempted to say, right on, Pastor Bolanle.
And, you know, the truth is, there is room for them. Because in a society such as ours, where, you know, there's so much going on, you need some form of therapy. So I think that they have a very important role to play. It's just that maybe not use the name of God.
Yeah, do you know, I like the fact that they're able to entertain and, you know, to if you say it that way. But the thing
you're not trying
despise
to bring on that fellow who says
don't
wear jeans.
Of course. Do not mislead your congregation. That's all I'm about. I mean, I'm all for the entertainment, and I'm sure you're able to juxtapose both.
Absolutely. But then also there's a choice. So the congregation that allows itself to be fleeced, it's really...
What you have said reminds me of, who's the writer again? The Spellbinders. You need to read that book. It's a novel. Yes. Fantastic. Harold, I can't remember. Fantastic
I can see the cover.
Yes. But Bolanle, talk to us briefly about the arts and the visual arts. And you're also a big player in that aspect. How much of a hit did the arts get post-COVID? I know that Artex was like a hybrid thing this year. Unfortunately, do we still have buyers and people acquiring works? Are you still selling? Are you still auctioning?
Yes, so we stopped auctioning precisely because of the effect of there are less buyers in terms of new buyers. There were very few new buyers coming into the space. And you know we've been in this space for so long. So we kind of like re-strategized. We focus more on younger artists now. We're looking at digital art as well, which is selling for young Nigerians, interestingly. So that's been more of our focus. But the ArtX and all the other platforms that have come in are a sign of what will be the art selling space for the future. You need spaces where there's a convergence of many players as opposed to people visiting one gallery or one artist showcasing at a time. So I think they're playing a very critical role in bringing old collectors, and the atmosphere they also bring also allows younger people to want to participate in the space. But in terms of sales on a daily basis, it's not as it used to be. Things have changed. And I also think that maybe a lot of people also just wait for the one big opportunity And then artists also are able to access international markets now themselves, which is a good thing. It's a good thing because they have internet and they're also able to connect with galleries abroad. So it is growing. It's getting better, but I think that there's a lot more needs to be done in that space in acquiring new collectors.
Yeah. Now, your 3 films, again, going back to those 3 films, with the emergence of Netflix in Africa or even Amazon Prime, what are you doing about that? And how important is that inclusion in our Nigerian space?
I think that's a fantastic thing you asked me because, I mean, he knows that we took our movie, 93 Days and Bling Lagosians, to the cinema in Nigeria. Bling Lagosians did extremely well. But there are challenges that we face as producers because the revenue, the returns really doesn't come back to you. So it dampens your interest in wanting to invest more in the space. Now, with the emergence of international distributors and platforms, it allows us to be able to make more of our monies back ourselves. So I know that we are talking, we're in bed with Netflix and also with Amazon Prime. And I think that they bring in a lot of opportunities for us. It allows us to be able to feel more comfortable knowing that you're investing money and you will make your money back. But more importantly, the eyeballs are much more than if you were to stay within the 4 walls of a cinema. So there's room for all. The local cinemas are also creating jobs, and they're also allowing the industry to grow. And not all films can be on those platforms. So I think that both have an important role to play in the growth of the industry.
Yeah, we also have Arise Play, just so you know. It's a new streaming platform that we just launched.
Really?
It would be something that you could also, talk to our team and collaborate with them as well. I mean, I think it's a great inclusion in the African space.
Fantastic.
But also, did you have a question?
Yes, I have one last one. The Fela children, the Kuti clan, they're part of the narrative every time that Fela is been mentioned. And you also mentioned that that's why you have to bring them in for the Lisabi, Lioness of Lisabi film. But not many people connect you with your dad. And I'm sure that you're not expecting this question.
I saw you itching, so I was like,
she doesn't like to talk about that now. But I see, for those who know, the accomplishments of Dr. Afe Babalola, SAN, brilliant lawyer, owns one of the best universities in Nigeria, quiet in a strategic way. Are those attributes that you took from your dad?
Yes. So, I'm the daughter of my father. And, we all follow our parents, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. My father has been a very important part of my life. He taught us to be diligent. He taught us when we were very young that your 2 best friends are these things, your hands.
Yes.
And not necessarily the wealth that he has acquired. So I've always operated like my father is not wealthy, so that I can acquire my own wealth. And I've also taught my children the same thing. So the value of hard work, diligence, honesty has been something that he imbibed in us. And when I look at him at 90, still investing, still building, best hospital, best this. And I'm thinking, I'm in my 50s. I've just started my race. So there's still a lot more that I can do.
You look amazing.
Thank you. And, so yes, definitely my father is a driving force and an influence in my life. So thank you, Daddy.
Oh, how sweet. Well, congratulations again. And thank you so much for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to my ticket.
You must be there. I'm coming to pick you up personally. And Steve, thank you so much for everything. And Merry Christmas, Arise TV.
Christmas.
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right.